Hey up guys, I'm Mason, the blind wrestling fan. This is Wrestling in the Dark. Come with me, take a look at NXT's Takeover 31 through my eyes. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Buckle up, have fun, let's go. The show kicks off with the NXT North American Championship match between Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. I've got to say, I really enjoyed this match. I'm not particularly a massive fan of Damian Priest, so this was probably my favourite match of his. The match kicks off with Johnny trying to pick up the pace, and it looks like he's going to take control. He manages to duck a few moves, but he ends up getting hit with a spin kick. They both look for the finishers, but neither is successful. Johnny takes flight, according to Vic. I would have preferred it if he'd have actually said what kind of dive it was, but can't ask for everything, I guess. On the outside, Gargano drives Priest into the steps. He manages to take back control, hitting Gargano with an elevated flatliner and hits him with the broken arrow. He gets a razor's edge on the corner of the apron, which is gotta be the hardest part of the ring, right? Gargano manages to counter the Reckoning with a standing sliced bread. He gets hit with South of Heaven, but he kicks out of that. Priest later on wipes out some security guards. Gargano uses this distraction to deliver a low blow and a super kick, but Priest kicks out. And then in the end, Priest picks up the win with the Reckoning. As a massive fan of Johnny, I thought that this was a really good way to open up the show. To be honest, like I said, I'm not a massive fan of Damian Priest. This was probably my favourite match that he's had, and to be honest, I think that that's a good thing because in the future I'll probably enjoy his matches a little bit more now. This has got me a lot more interested in him. I was also not surprised that Johnny didn't pick up the win, and after this I was sort of convinced that Candice was definitely going to beat Io Shirai. But yeah, I thought that this was a really solid way to start off the show. Next up is Kushida versus Velveteen Dream. I was quite excited for this match. There's something that I quite like about Kushida. I'm not entirely sure why, there's just something about him that appeals to me, and this was a real exhibition of Kushida's new ultra aggressive side. In fact, he attacks the Dream before Dream's entrance is even finished, and the opening part of this match is just all Kushida, utilising what Beth refers to as mad grappling, just picking the Dream apart with strikes, joint manipulation. The dynamics are all off here. The Dream manages to get back into it, but the crowd boos him for it. Kushida might have revealed this aggressive, vicious side, but the crowd's clearly in his favour when it comes to this match. Kushida manages to get back in control. He gets a hip toss, rolls through for a drop kick, and then he just starts using joint manipulation again, stomping away at the Dream. Dream tries for a purple Rainmaker. Kushida catches him, gets him in a cross arm breaker. Dream manages to fight out of this, thumbs Kushida in the eye. We get another arm breaker, and this time Kushida's just biting at Dream's fingers. Not gonna lie, I had a little laugh at Beth calling him the phalanges. Who are you, Nigel? Trying to get all scientific and specific. It's just not what I'm used to from Beth, but yeah, I really like that viciousness. Then we get a Dream Valley Driver, Purple Rainmaker, but Dream can't capitalise because of the damage that's been done to his arm. Then he goes up to the top rope, he's going to try again. Kushida meets him up there, gets the hoverboard lock on, rolls into it from the top rope, gets that locked in. Dream tries to fight out, he counters with a Dream Valley Driver, but Kushida doesn't let go of the hold, and eventually Dream is forced to tap out. Post-match, Kushida just lays a beating on Dream. He just destroys his arm, has to get the refs to pull him off multiple times, but he just keeps going back, and I really think that this was a really cool showcase of this new side of Kushida, and I really hope that he gets pushed into a good position here. I'd love to see him go up against Damian Priest. I'd love to see him go for any of the titles, to be honest. I think down the line a match between Kushida and Finn Balor could be really cool. I think it says something about this next match when it was my least favourite match of the night. It was the NXT Cruiserweight Championship being on the line, Santos Escobar defending against Isaiah Swerve Scott. It was actually a really good match, and that's what I mean. When it comes to this takeover, I was actually so into everything that the fact that this was my least favourite match is pretty surprising, in all fairness. It's also not surprising because it makes sense. When you've got a match like this that is just so fast paced and it's all about back and forth action and just all these inventive manoeuvres, it's not surprising that it's harder for me to keep up with, especially considering that I'm not particularly invested in either of these characters fully yet. I think that they're cool, but I don't know much about them yet, so it's just one of those where it's harder to visualise and invest in, and even though commentary did a really good job, it was just a little bit harder to keep up with because it's just so goddamn fast. Swerve, it really takes it to Escobar in the early moments. He's just putting the pedal to the metal, and commentary actually put over that he's managing to knock Escobar off his game. He's using moonsaults and joint manipulation and all that sort of good stuff. Wade Barrett does a pretty good job during this pay-per-view, and we'll definitely talk more about that in the main event because he was a massive part of that match for me. But he talks about the fact that it's a mistake for Swerve to be doing this, to try and beat Escobar at his own game, pushing the 205-pound weight limit, and he puts over the fact that it's a mistake for him to do this, to switch things up to beat a man that he's already beaten twice. If I miss out any of the cooler spots, it's just because of how fast it was, but these are the ones that I got down. Escobar gets a Frankensteiner and follows it up with an elbow. Swerve kicks out of that. Swerve unleashes a barrage of strikes, a clothesline, a diving European uppercut, a rolling thunder flatliner. No idea what that is, to be honest. I don't think I've ever actually seen one of those before I lost my sight, so if anyone wants to explain that in the comments, that's cool. But Escobar kicks out. Swerve keeps on top of him, manages to get a dropkick DDT combo, but Escobar kicks out of that as well. Then it's Escobar's turn to start bringing it to Swerve. He ends up hitting a phantom driver, and Swerve kicks out of that. Commentary goes absolutely crazy talking about the fact that no one has ever kicked out of the phantom driver yet. Then we get some shades of Eddie Guerrero. Escobar gets the Three Amigos, goes for the frog splash, but Swerve counters. Swerve gets the house call, a 450 splash, but Escobar kicks out of that. Then we get some shenanigans as Escobar's little mates come out and start helping him, but Ashanti the Adonis comes out to sort of even the odds and scare them off and help Swerve out. And then in the end, Swerve gets driven into an exposed turnbuckle that was uncovered earlier on in the match, and this allows Escobar to pick up the win. Like I said, I found it a little bit confusing, and that might come across with the way that I've recapped it, but I thought that it was a really good match, and I enjoy these cruiserweight matches. I'm really glad that it became the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. I hope that we get a good feud for Santos Escobar going forwards. I wouldn't be surprised though to see Swerve getting another shot later on down the line, maybe at the Halloween Havoc show later this month. Next up, Io Shirai defends her NXT Women's Championship against Candice LeRae. I don't know about you guys, but by this point I'd done a little bit too much thinking. I'd let my brain just run away with itself, and I'd convinced myself that Candice was going to walk out the winner here. I came into the night sort of thinking that they were going to pull the trigger on the power couple thing, and then when Johnny lost, I was absolutely certain Candice was going to win, and I'd convinced myself she was going to win. Io was going to get drafted to the main roster later in the month, and then that was just going to be it. So I was actually really into this match because I was convinced we were going to get a title change. Io starts off the match super aggressive. She's going right after Candice. She gets a hip toss and a drop kick, so Candice just buggers off to the outside so she can get a breather. Eventually Candice gets a backstabber, and this makes her gain control. Then she manages to stay on top of the champ for a while, getting multiple near falls, keeping the pressure on. Later she gets a suplex, covers the champ, kick out. She covers her again, kick out again, and she starts to look frustrated. This obviously is a mistake, because if she'd have just stuck to her guns, carried on the way it was, she might have done a little bit better, but getting frustrated allows Io to take control again. Io gets a double knees, a double stomp, starts picking up the pace, she gets a flapjack, a tiger feint, missile dropkick, but Candice kicks out. Io locks in a crossface. Candice fights out of this, manages to roll through and put Io in the Gargano escape. Then Candice accidentally decks the ref. He's out, but she doesn't manage to capitalise. Io gets an air raid crash, goes up top, takes flight, and wipes out the ref again. So this time Candice does manage to capitalise. She gets a wicked stepsister once again. I'm not particularly sure what the wicked stepsister is, so if anyone wants to let me know in the comments what that is, I'd really appreciate it. But after that, out comes Johnny, and he's got a referee shirt on, although there was a little bit of a misunderstanding here. So he fast counts Io Shirai, but she manages to kick out anyway. And then the ref's arguing with Johnny, and he's saying, "That's my shirt, that's my shirt." So I'm picturing the referee as shirtless, thinking that Johnny's just ran down and pulled it off. No, apparently, after listening to some recaps of it, it was just the fact that he had a referee shirt on, which is just hilarious. Referee's like, "I own all of those, they are mine. I've got the copyright to referee shirts." And sometimes I can't help but laugh at how different my experience must be to everyone else's, because I'm there picturing the referee as shirtless, thinking that Johnny stripped him off, but no, it's just the ref being an absolute idiot. Anyway, Candice uses this distraction to deck Io with the championship, but Io kicks out again. Then Io manages to get back on top. She gets an avalanche Spanish fly and hits the over the moonsault and picks up the win, retaining the NXT Women's Championship. Post-match, Toni Storm appears on the Tron, and she announces that she's back. She's going to be in NXT. Io better have her head on a swivel, because it's Toni time. Then music hits. Has Toni got new music? No, she hasn't. It's just Ember Bloody Moon returning. Yeah, that's right. The teasing of a NXT Championship was Ember Moon. Yeah, okay. What a way for this to end. I actually thought it was really cool, having Candice lose, and now it looks like we're just getting a bit of a mix-up with the NXT Women's Division. Having Toni Storm come back is really awesome. Ember Moon being back is intriguing as hell. I can't wait to see her going after the championship. And then when you actually think about the state of the NXT Women's Division right now, with Io Shirai, Toni Storm, Ember Moon, Shotzi Blackheart, Dakota Kai, even Candice, if she doesn't get drafted, which I'm starting to think that she actually might, there's just a lot of depth in the NXT Women's Division right now. This match, loved it. Nice shenanigans. I love that we've got Johnny coming out and interrupting Candice's matches, trying to help her out. It's not the other way round. Candice didn't come out and try and help Johnny win his match. It's not the typical dynamic that you get, and I really like that. This match was probably my favourite other than the main event, which is next, so let's get to that. Kyle O'Bloody versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. This was a damn good main event. If you didn't think Kyle O'Reilly was championship material before this match, if you don't after the match, you are mistaken. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. This was just such a good match. I was so invested the whole time. I really wanted Kyle to win, and they did such a good job during the match to make you want him to win. This was just absolutely, I'm not going to say perfect, because no match is perfect, but it was damn close in my opinion. This is the type of match that I just love. So it starts off how you'd expect. Wrestling, human chess, just a nice back and forth grappling game, and eventually Kyle manages to start picking up the momentum. He starts working Balor's arm and does a good job of shutting Balor down, making sure he doesn't pick up the pace. I couldn't help laughing at one point because Balor gets a drop kick, and commentary put over the fact that it was right between the eyes of Kyle O'Reilly. I'm not really sure how something as wide as a foot goes right between the eyes. Are Kyle's eyes just really far apart? And it almost took me out of the match because I couldn't help laughing at it. But either way, this allows Balor to take control for a little bit. Kyle starts unloading with a nice selection of strikes, and I tell you what, Vic Joseph does a bloody good job of calling all of them. He's in his element in this match. This is the type of match where Vic Joseph just does a good job, and he did in this match. Kyle gets some underhook suplexes, gets a DDT. The real turning point of the match comes as Balor gets a spinning kick to the midsection of Kyle O'Reilly, and this really messes up Kyle pretty much for the rest of the match. He starts focusing his offense on Kyle's midsection, and Wade does a brilliant job of putting over the fact that he's seen heavyweight boxers go down to nasty midsection shots like this. He's putting over the fact that it's having a nasty effect on Kyle, that he's got nothing left in the tank. But despite this, Kyle gets a jumping knee, a regal plex near fall, but Balor kicks out, starts stomping him. Kyle is bleeding from the mouth at this point. Commentary's putting it over, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, that's not a good sign. He gets locked in the sharpshooter, but he doesn't tap. Then Balor starts stomping him, going back to the midsection, and Wade puts over the fact that he thinks that the ref would have stopped this match if it wasn't a championship match. They start battering each other with strikes. Balor gets a Pele kick, Kyle answers with a clothesline, a brain buster, floats over into the cover, but Balor kicks out, and as soon as he does, Kyle gets him in an armbar. Balor manages to block that. Kyle kicks out of a 1916. I thought it was over right there. When he hit it, I thought, no, that's it, man, it's all over. But he kicks out. Of course he does. He's Adam Cole's best friend. He's not going down that easily. Balor goes up top, but Kyle meets him up there, gets a pair of dragon screws and locks Balor in a double heel hook. Balor gets to the ropes. Then the finish comes. Balor gets a double stomp. Kyle answers with a high knee, a German suplex, but Balor gets a double stomp again, goes up top and hits the coup de grace. When a match is this good, one of two things happens. Either the commentary does a bad job, which leaves me feeling left out and feeling sad and just wishing that there was some sort of magic spell that would just give me my sight back and makes me just bitter about it. Or the commentary does a good job like they did in this match, and it makes me just forget. I don't feel like I didn't watch this match, that I just had to have commentary telling me about it. I feel like I could visualise it so well that I feel like I watched it. I got the image of my head of Kyle O'Reilly with his bleeding mouth and the shots to the midsection, and it had such a well-defined story that I was invested in, and the commentary did such a good job calling the moves that I really feel like I watched this match, and it just makes me forget the fact that I can't see. And those are the matches where I come away and I just feel like so good about having watched it, because it's just a really nice feeling of, yeah, for those 15-20 minutes I just completely forgot that I can't see anymore. I just bloody loved this match. Post-match, Balor shows O'Reilly respect. I don't really know what they did. They just said a sign of respect there. Personally, I pictured a too sweet, because that would be, fitting. Then we get a post-match angle, the thing that leaves us with questions as to what's going to come. Ridge Holland appears with Adam Cole, and Undisputed Era all run down. It seems that Cole's been attacked. They're calling for the medics, wondering what happened. It's pretty obvious what happened. Ridge Holland obviously attacked him, guys. that probably wasn't nice for for Cole, considering that Ridge is a self-professed murderer. I was going to say a child murderer, but that makes it sound like he murdered children, as opposed to the fact that he murdered people when he was a child. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool way to leave it off. It leaves you with questions. Once again, Adam Cole gets given an angle that will keep him in NXT. I thought for sure that he was gone when it came to draft time. Once again, I always manage to fool myself and think that he's going to leave, but something happens that gives him a reason to stick around, and I'm looking forward to seeing him fight Ridge Holland, and hopefully seeing Kyle O'Reilly fighting too, because now with this main event just pulling him up into that main event sphere, really pushing him and building him, it'll be cool to see him step up and try to defend his friend's honour. This whole last section of the pay-per-view was just great and I loved it. Without a doubt, this was my favourite takeover of this year. Thinking back throughout the year, I can't think of one that stood out to me more than this, or a main event that I've enjoyed more than this one. Having fans back in attendance, despite what I thought about it, was really good. I wasn't expecting to feel like it made that much of a difference, but having them banging on the plexiglass was really intense, and having them chanting for people, it just felt good for it to feel like a proper show again. And I guess you can't really judge them too harshly, considering that they separated them into pods. It felt like every match had a different vibe and there was stakes, whether it was just because it was a championship match like with Swerve and Escobar, or whether it was the intertwining storylines of Johnny and Candice as they try to become a power couple, both trying to do it the Gargano way, being little shitty heels, whether it was Kushida being all vicious and violent and unleashing this new side of himself, or the main event where Finn and Kyle just put on this banger of a match and Kyle gets pulled into this main event sphere and made to look like an absolute beast. I just thought that there was so much to love with this takeover. I'd love to know what you thought of this takeover, guys. Did you love it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What were your thoughts on the Capitol Wrestling Centre? Let me know in the comment section and we'll have a chat about it. Thanks for listening. I hope you've had as much of a good time as I have, but for now I'm off, and you should have a good one.